folks, I happen to work with a lot of different vehicles, and some of the vehicles that we use, they're a bit older, and sometimes we just need to get them through to do their specific things that we need them for just for a couple months, and then they're probably gonna go and get recycled into scrap metal. But we kind of need to keep them running when we're using, and sometimes we have overheating issues with them, which causes us problems as well, different delays and different things like that. So I looked around to experiment with some different products, and I came up with this Rislone Hypercool Super Coolant here. Reduces engine temperature, prevents overheating, provides maximum corrosion protection. And so with a lot of these vehicles that are, very inexpensive, old vehicles, it's a thing, like I said, we just need to keep them running and keep them from overheating, especially whenever it's 115 degrees outside and all that sort of thing. So with this, one of the things that I found with it, researching it, and they make note of it here on the bottle, they talk about kind of the average temperatures that you can get when you're using this, 50% glycol, 50% water. Usually it's going to run at about 230 degrees. You add the super coolant to that 50-50 mix, and they say it should run at about 220. And then water only at 219 Fahrenheit. But if you add the super coolant to the water, about 189. Now, keep in mind with this review, folks, we are actually going to go out in the field and add this to different vehicles and that we know we have overheating issues with, and we're going to see how they perform. So I will roll in a little bit of that footage here. I won't overdo it on the footage, but I'll roll in a couple of clips and we'll kind of see what happens with this. One of the things with this is they say this is the newest technology wetting agent that will reduce a lot of those temperatures, and then also to prevent corrosion, all that. We're not as concerned about that. Like I said, some of these vehicles we just need to get through for a couple months, whatever. And then up to 75 degrees lower cylinder head temperatures. Now, one thing it does mention here to be aware of, there's no glycol, there's no antifreeze protection. So if you're in a climate where it's going to freeze, then you do need to keep that in mind. Have something in the cooling system that's going to resist freezing, because if you just have water in this, it won't cut the mustard. So anyways, folks, let's get this out in the field and add it and see what kind of results that we get from this, and see how it works out. Folks, this Crown Victoria always overheats after it runs in the heat for a while with the AC running. So we're going to add our Rislone Super Coolant and see how it goes. All right, we just added our Rislone Super Coolant here to the tank, and we'll see how we go today. All right, folks, so we gave the Rislone Super Coolant a real-world tryout with two different Crown Victorias. One, we ran it in for 2 days. Another one, we ran it in for 3 days. And was very happy with it overall. Now, I think at the end of the day, if you're having some sort of chronic cooling issues, it's going to be a thing of where mechanically there's probably something going on in there, whether it's a sensor or whether it's some sort of issue, or the coolant needs flushed or whatever. So, take that into consideration, that if you're having cooling issues when you never had them before, probably mechanically you're going to have to take a look at that at some point. But with this, for what we needed to do and what we needed to do to get the job done and keep those vehicles moving. On the first day with the one, I'd had the issue where if I drove it real hard or ran the air conditioning too long on a hot day, the temp gauge would go all the way to the very top, especially if we drove it in reverse for a while. And with that, you're not getting a lot of air through the radiator, so that's kind of an issue. But the temp gauge would go all the way to the max, and it would trigger the overheating light and all that stuff. When I added this and kind of ran it through a couple of different heat cycles, whenever I went to kind of run it like that, the temp gauge went up some, but we didn't go all the way up to the max and trigger the overheating light, so that was good. Also, too, it just overall seemed to keep the temperature where if I ran the air conditioning and stuff like that, the temp gauge, after a while on that hot day, it would start to come up some, but again, we didn't go all the way up to the red and overheat and all that. So it worked so well on the first day. What I did was I had another bottle, put it into another Crown Vic that was having issues, and that vehicle, we had parked it twice the previous day for overheating. Once we put this in and ran it through a little bit and gave it time to circulate and kind of do its thing, That vehicle, we didn't have any further issues with overheating with it. So very happy with that. So far, with the experience I've had with the 2 out of the 3 bottles in 2 vehicles, I've been very happy with it, and I'm going to continue to test it out over time and try it in other vehicles that might have issues with cooling, because especially I'm working with a lot of older vehicles and stuff like that. So anyways, folks, I've been happy with this so far, so definitely check this out and give this a try. Like I mentioned before, if you're having chronic cooling issues, it's probably something mechanical that you are going to have to address at some point. But in terms of perhaps lowering that coolant temperature and trying to help out a little bit, this does seem to help, at least from the results that I saw. So again, very happy with it, and I will continue to use it, and I'm going to end up buying some more here shortly. So definitely check this out, folks. Give it some consideration and try it out and see what you think.